talking C's here on a Sunday, Celtics Beat. And we got in a little bit of the guard depth here, and there's actually a great story pinned to Chris's Twitter feed right now if you want to check that out about Payton Pritchard, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But the one thing that I think I've come up with, and I think other people have also theorized this as well, the Payton Pritchard pick makes way more sense when you factor in the Kemba injury news, okay? And when they were picking at that pick, was it 26, right? I think Pritchard was 26. Mm-hmm. There's some guys in that range you'd heard about that were, tossed around. You'd heard about Desmond Bane out of TCU was a guy that, I guess the Celtics kind of liked. I liked him quite a bit. I know everybody was obsessed with Tyrell Terry from Stanford, and how can you not? Guy's fun as hell to watch. And then the pick comes, and it's Payton Pritchard. And I'm like, all right, okay, let's go watch some film because I haven't watched a ton of him because he plays in the Pac-12 in the West Coast. And unfortunately, that's past my bedtime. And, you watch him play a little bit, and it starts to kind of make sense because you have an experienced guy, 4-year player at Oregon, was a superstar high school athlete in the state of Oregon, but played all 4 years at Oregon in the Pac-12, was the Pac-12 Player of the Year this year, was a finalist for Player of the Year in the NCAA, 4-year senior. I mean, he checks off a lot of boxes. And if you're looking at, and it's obvious that Danny wanted to make a pick at guard, it made more sense to me, Chris, to go with Pritchard over Terry because I think Peyton's body's a little more NBA ready right now. And his experience, I think, was the big thing in choosing him over a guy like Terry or a guy like Desmond Bane. You agree with me on that?
Without a doubt. I mean, I know Draft Twitter and Celtics fans wanted the spicy pick, and that's certainly not Payton Pritchard. But I was a big fan of Pritchard down the stretch of this long pre-draft process. And again, like you said, he makes a ton of sense for what the Celtics needed. And of course, more than anyone, the Celtics were well aware of what they were dealing with when they were sitting in that war room on draft night. They've got Kemba, who they know is not going to be ready for the season. So they need someone like Pritchard, who is experienced, like you said, 4-year guy at Oregon. He's going to be able to come in and just run the offense for various stints. That's what they need. They don't need a guy who could come in and, again, he's not the greatest defender, but he's not going to really kill you on that end like Terry would get exposed on that end. Yeah. You need someone who you can trust, and hopefully, it's rare for Brad to throw a rookie who he doesn't have a ton of experience with into a big role very early, but he might not have that much of a choice as we get rolling here. So I think the Pritchard pick makes a lot of sense for what the Celtics need. He's a reliable playmaker. He's a smart playmaker, and he can score. And so you needed a potential backup point guard down the road. You needed some scoring off the bench. And without really knowing it at the time, the Celtics needed a guy who could play that backup guard to Teague because Kemba wasn't going to be around. And Pritchard is that guy. He's got better size, like you said, than a lot of the other prospects around that area who are guards that were available. And I like him a lot. I know people criticize the pick because he wasn't terribly high on a lot of people's draft boards, but I think Celtics fans are going to really like him. He plays really hard, and I think he can help him a lot.
He can really shoot. I mean, he can really shoot.
Yep.
He has great handles. I mean, his dribble
his handle is his best feature, without question.
Unbelievable. I mean, you watch some of the videos that he puts out, and you're like, it's like mesmerizing, really.
It's an NBA handle, without question.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And his vision is fun. Like, when they're pushing the pace, and one thing I like about him, and Tommy Heinsohn would love this, is a guy that as soon as, if it's a rebound, they want to get out in transition, like he demands the ball and he gets out and runs. And this is a team that likes to play a little more up-tempo with the athletes they have, especially on the wing. Makes a lot of sense to have Pritchard, who's a guy that's definitely going to force the pace and push the pace as much as humanly possible. And I love his vision. I mean, there are times when, and again, Schmitz did a great job, Mike Schmitz, of course, Draft Express, ESPN, did a great job talking with him about some of the really advanced reads he's going to have to make at the NBA level in some capacity to really open up everything for him. But it's not like he has terrible vision either. It's not like he's like he's not, Jaylen Brown when he first came out of college, like, just that one singular plane of vision. This guy sees the whole floor, and he's got an array of moves. He's a good job of keeping guys off balance. I'm a little optimistic in terms of how he'll be able to play right away. He just seems kind of like a guy, and again, this is tough because, again, you have a shortened offseason with all the things we've talked about. But I think he's a guy that makes a lot of sense in terms of where they picked him, in terms of like they want a guy that's ready to play right now. I don't think he's going to be totally fazed by a lot of things. He seems like a guy that, again, as you said, works really hard on his game. He's already with, Grant Williams playing Settlers of Catan, trying to get, at least friendly with everybody else. I think I saw somewhere that people have already talked about how hard he's already working to try and fit in. I think I saw that quote somewhere. I think it might have been Grant yesterday, the day before. Are you confident in terms of his ability to play meaningful minutes early on in the season?
Yeah, I am, but I don't necessarily think right off the bat, because with all rookies, the no summer league, the shortened preseason, the shortened training camp, that does pile up. And summer league and preseason and training, those are valuable tools for a rookie, a 4-year college player, or a one-and-done kid. It doesn't really matter. That's valuable time. And so I don't necessarily think it's going to be right off the bat, but it could be 3 weeks into the season, and that alone would be valuable for the Celtics. So more than a lot of the other prospects that were on the board, I trust Pritchard to come in, be able to run the offense to a point where Brad can trust him when they need a spot out there. And again, I just think that he can provide that playmaking like we just talked about, but he can also provide the scoring. And he's not going to go and turn the ball over 4 times because he's trying to make ridiculous passes, and where he's patient, relatively composed. I think he fits the mold for what the Celtics need while Kemba's out, and I think he's going to be pretty valuable. So yeah, to answer your question, I think he can contribute early on. It just might not be as soon as some fans hope.